Dr. Daniel Amen, founder of BrainMD and Amen Clinics, and also author of the book Healing ADD. We're here today to talk about ADD, and I feel like, many of us have often wondered, do I have ADD? Perhaps we're feeling a little scatterbrained, we're having problems focusing or feeling a little anxious. And so Dr. Eamon is here with me today to help tell us, or advise us, how do I know if I have ADD?
Well, Patty, it's so great to be with you. Thank you for helping me with this. The pandemic has really caused a lot of people to wonder whether or not they have ADD, their kids have ADD. For so many years, they actually denied their children had ADD, even though the teacher in kindergarten, first, second, third grade said, I think your child has ADD. And they're like, no, it's a bad teacher. But now they're homeschooling and they're like, he has the attention span of like 8 seconds. And so maybe we should revisit it. And, I think of 5 hallmark symptoms: short attention span, attention deficit disorder. But attention span will fool you because it's not short attention span for everything. It's short attention span for regular, routine, everyday things: schoolwork, homework, paperwork, chores, the things that make life work. But for things that are new, novel, highly interesting, stimulating, or frightening, people with ADD can pay attention just fine because those things have their own intrinsic motivation, their own intrinsic dopamine. And that's what fools people, because the ADD child or adult, like my son who has ADD, if you gave them a stereo magazine or an automotive magazine, read it cover to cover, tell you everything that's in it, and remember it, give him a history homework assignment, 4 hours with his mother yelling and screaming at him to get it done. So short attention span, but not for everything. Easily distracted. They see too much. They hear too much. They feel too much. It's like the world comes at them too quickly. They tend to be disorganized: their room, their desks, their book bags, their filing cabinets. They organize by the pile system: pile here, pile there, pile everywhere. They tend to procrastinate, which means they don't get something done until someone's mad at them. So they need that stimulation of another person to be mad at them. And they tend to be impulsive, which means they say things that they really shouldn't say, or do things that are really not in their best interest. And it's like they don't think through the consequences of what they say or what they do before they say or do it. In addition, many people with ADD are conflict seeking. They play this game I call Let's Have a Problem, because they poke at other people to be their stimulant. And I always tell parents, when your child picks up the rope for you to fight, don't pick it up. Don't be your child's Ritalin. Bad thing. I mean, because, we use stimulants to treat ADD, and without them, the ADD child or adult is often conflict or stimulus seeking. Now, I'm not recommending stimulants. And the reason is, through our brain imaging work at Amen Clinics, we realize ADD is not one thing. In fact, it's 7 different things. There's classic ADHD, and what we see is their brain drops when they try to concentrate, which means the harder they try, the worse it gets. At Amen Clinics, we do a study called SPECT, S-P-E-C-T, and SPECT looks at blood flow and activity, looks at how your brain works. And we do it twice, once at rest, once when you concentrate. And one of the first things we discovered is that when people with ADD try to concentrate, they get decreased activity in the front part of their brain, which means the harder they try, the worse it gets. But not everybody's like that. There's something called inattentive ADD, actually more common in girls. Short attention span, distracted, often disorganized and procrastinate. They're not terribly impulsive and not hyperactive as the classic kids are. And with hyperactivity, it's when they're little, they're like a hurricane. You know, they just like, where are you going? They tend to be fearless and they're on the go. I mean, they're driven like by a motor. They don't really like movies because they have trouble sitting still. They don't really like lectures because they can't sit still. So that's type 1. But type 2, they don't have the hyperactivity or much of the impulsivity. Type 3, they have all the ADD features, plus they worry, they're rigid, they hold grudges. If things don't go their way, they get upset. So it's like they have this little mouse in their head that's on an exercise wheel and the mouse can't get off. So things go over and over again. And if you can't shift your attention, ultimately you can't pay attention because, you know, even in these few minutes we've been together, I've talked about 6 different things. If you got stuck on one of them, that meant you didn't hear the other 5. Type 4 ADD is what we call temporal lobe ADD, where one or both of your temporal lobes might have been hurt. And it can go with all the ADD symptoms plus mood instability, irritability, temper problems, and learning problems. And type 5 is limbic ADD, where your emotional brain works too hard. So you have all the ADD symptoms, plus you tend to be sad, negative, glass is half empty. And type 6 is what we call the ring of fire, where your brain just works way too hard. Stimulants almost always make that type worse. We need to give them calming things to settle it down. And then type 7 is anxious ADD. It's really this combination of your ADD, but you're also really anxious. Most people who have ADD tend to be late. The anxious ADD people are early because their anxiety overrides the ADD. And so knowing your type is really important, which is why there's a link below to the ADD type test. It's free. And, you know, a long time ago, I realized not everybody can come to one of our clinics. We have 8, soon to be 9 clinics around the country. But at least this gives them a start. 1, to know if you have ADD, if you're likely to have it, and 2, what type. And then that, you know, we have all sorts of resources to help people, from my book, Healing ADD, which has been a long time bestseller. We have a course, Healing ADD at Home in 30 days, which is 30 short 10-minute videos, because I know how people with ADD learn. One of my ADD CEOs, what did he say? He said, be bright, be brief, be gone. It's a classic ADD management, bright, brief, and gone. And then, of course, we have Amen clinics where we're just masterful at treating people with ADD.
So the ADD type test is free. It takes just 4 minutes to complete. And what's really great is you can complete it for yourself or a loved one. I've done both. So let's say you get your results back and you learn that you or a loved one does have ADD. And so BrainMD and Amen University offers a course for healing ADD at home in 30 days. Can you tell us a little bit more about who this course is for?
You know, I think it's for anybody who really wants to deal with ADD quickly. And that's the ADD thing, right? It's like, get me better fast. And it really, I go through, how do you know if you have it in more detail? What type do you have? And talk about the different strategies. I talk about treatments. So what supplements do we tend to use? What medications do we use for each type? what about parenting an ADD child? How can you make accommodations at work? How does ADD impact relationships? And one of the beautiful things with the course is you also get um, healing ADD through food, which is a cookbook my wife Tana created. And most of the recipes have 5 ingredients or less because it's like for people who have ADD, be bright, be brief, be gone. And it's spectacular. Kids love the recipes, even big kids like me. And there's a journal that also comes with it. It's just loaded with practical tips and tools to help you get on top of the ADD so you can get it to work for you rather than work against you. And having ADD is associated with a lot of bad things. A high percentage of people with ADD actually don't finish high school. There's a higher incidence of divorce and bankruptcy, incarceration, drug abuse. It's not a minor thing. A lot of people think that, oh, it's only ADD, get over it. But people with ADD don't get over it, can't get over it unless, that'd be like telling someone who can't see to get over it.
Mm.
And it's like, no, I wear glasses to drive. Why? Because my eyeballs are shaped funny. And the glasses help me focus. Healing ADD at home in 30 days, it's sort of like glasses. It just helps you see clearly and gives you a plan to deal with it more effectively.
So we get the cookbook, we get the journal, we get short 10-minute videos because we just don't have the attention span to pay attention for much longer than that. Um, can you tell us more about when someone might need to potentially seek professional help? Are there specific types of ADD that are a little bit more severe where someone may want to reach out to a physician for treatment?
So, so knowing if you have it is really important. And then do the simple strategies that we talk about in healing ADD at home in 30 days. And if that doesn't work, knowing your type, you will know if you're a good candidate for a stimulant or not a good candidate for a stimulant. And the stimulants you probably get from your family doctor or your local psychiatrist. Being diagnosed with adult ADD, even, it's common. A lot of doctors do it, and the treatment can be really effective. Think about coming to Amen clinics if you want the world experts, because that's what we are. We have more experience than anyone in the world ever. I mean, we've literally seen 30,000 people who have ADD of all different types. And a lot of our doctors, well, all of our doctors are really experts in natural ways to help the brain. Um, and so if you've tried to get help and it really didn't work or it made you worse, we are a great place to come. Or if you want, what I really think of is the world's best, our 8, soon to be 9 clinics. It's just one of the things we specialize in.
Okay, so if we think we might have ADD, let's visit addtypetest.com, take the test, get our results. There's a 30-day at-home course, which is so easy to do, and it's quick and it's in bite size, easy to consume chunks for those of us with those shorter attention spans. And then for those of us who feel like we need additional support, we then have Amen clinics to turn to where there's experts there on ADD and we can get a brain spect and really learn more about what's really going on.
Right. And even if you've been diagnosed with ADD and you're taking medication, healing ADD at home in 30 days basically gives you what I teach my patients over the first year, what I want them to know. What do I want you to know about diet? What do I want you to know about exercise? What do I want you to know about parent training, about work accommodations, about organization, planning, all the things that we teach our patients.
Wow, that is really powerful. And just to be able to offer treatments at home or in a clinic is there's just so much value there. I know sometimes we're hesitant to pick up the phone and call someone to seek treatment. So this is a great start or a great opportunity just to do some self-investigating and do some research, and nobody needs to even know what your results are. You can do it in the privacy of your own home. Dr. Amen, I want to thank you so much for everything you're doing with the brain specs and to help patients and to really help us find an alternative to get better, to feel better, to help our brain just work better, just naturally and organically.
Well, let me tell you, can I tell you a story?
Yeah.
So I have lots of them, but one of my favorite stories I actually write about in my new book, The End of Mental Illness. And his name is Jarrett. I first saw him at the age of 8, and he was a hellion. He was diagnosed with ADD at 3 years old. Aggressive, short attention span, hyperactive, impulsive, restless, no friends. And he was on 5 stimulant medications. They all made him worse. They'd actually trigger rages where he put holes in the wall. Mm. In 3rd grade, the teacher had a parent-teacher conference and told the parents he would never do well in school, not to expect anything out of him. And when he failed his 5th medication, the doctor was going to put him on an antipsychotic medication, which I'm actually not a fan of for children unless the children are psychotic, which is pretty rare. And at that point, his mother called the clinic, and we scanned him and found that he had the ring of fire. And giving stimulants to an overactive brain is like pouring gasoline on a fire. It's a bad idea. And of course, how would you know unless you actually looked? On natural supplements to calm his brain, like GABA, 5-HTP, taurine, parent training, changing his diet. Within 3 or 4 months, he was calmer, happier. He started to make friends. It turned out he's actually been on the honor roll for the last 10 years. And I was at a benefit with him not too long ago. I'm just so proud of him. And I'm like, so what do you want to be? And he said, I want to be a firefighter. I said, why? He said, on someone's worst day, I want to make it better. Oh. And I just have to tell you, Patty, I mean, it just blessed me so much to know by getting the right help, we literally changed the trajectory of Jarrett's life. And you don't have to live with the consequences of ADD, that you can get on top of it. And yes, you know, a lot of people go, there's a lot of good things about ADD. And that's true. There are. You have lots of ideas, generally lots of energy. But if you don't harness it, if you don't challenge it, channel it, it can really stress out the people who love and care for you. And so you can just imagine Jarrett's mom. She used to always feel bad about herself, that somehow she was a defective person because she was not a good enough mother, when really it was a brain thing. Get Jarrett's brain right, and his mind will follow. So there's so much hope for people who have ADD. So you have to know if you have it, and then know what type you have, and then get treatment targeted to your specific type. And at Amen Clinics and Amen University, we want to provide the information and services to help you make that happen.
So to take the test, again, it's free. It's 4 minutes. You can take it for yourself or for a loved one. Visit addtypetest.com. And we want to thank our audience for tuning in today. We really appreciate your support. Leave your comments below. We'll have someone respond to you. And Dr. Amen, anything else we need to know about healing ADD?
The sooner you get started, the sooner you get relief.
I love that. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
Awesome. Do you know how to stop the live stream without stopping Zoom?
Oh, yeah. In the top left corner,
Uh-huh.